Porter helps companies easily manage bookkeeping and taxes. It is the source of truth for companies' financial data. It integrates with modern tech stacks like Brex, Ramp, Mercury, Gusto, Rippling, and it replaces your need to use QuickBooks and hire a bookkeeper to manage QuickBooks.
All right, this is another episode of the Founders Pack Form Your Own Pack podcast. My guest today is Andy Wang from Porter, and you just went through demo day for YCombinator, so we're getting you early here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Michael.
No problem. We're excited to talk. We were talking a little bit before this, and we had some common mutual, I guess, experience. And not YCombinator. That's something you've done uniquely, but you actually were telling me about that you left Canada and to go to San Francisco.
That's right. Yeah, I quit my role at Rapbook as a head of finance late last year to say regret is too much for me to not even try, even if I fail. I think that was probably the hardest decision I've ever made in my life to walk away from such a good opportunity. And I just knew I had to move down to SF. My wife was very supportive, fortunately. But having worked at many companies where there's a US VC tie, I sort of see what I'm missing out on. It just increases your chance of starting a company. Basically, just sat with my wife and said, look, we're going to move. She said, yeah, let's do it. 2 weeks later, we got a place, drove down from Toronto to Menlo Park, and then, made it here. And then I think that probably also helped with the application to get into Y Combinator.
That's amazing. It's such a neat story to hear that when people just say, listen, like it would be more painful not to do this. So I really applaud you. It's really interesting. The other thing you were telling me that I thought was interesting, we both have one thing in common, which is we both went to Waterloo, University of Waterloo, but you almost didn't make it through. I definitely didn't. I left and went and started a business like a maniac, but you had something similar. What was that?
Yeah, so I went to a program called Computing and Financial Management. It's sort of like a dual degree in computer science and finance. I went into there because I played computer games hardcore in high school. I didn't know anything about finance, but I was hacking a lot of games. I went in, it was a super hard program. And in first year, obviously, I just kept playing the game, which was Dota. And I probably played on average 18 to 20 hours per day, every
Oh
day.
God.
I didn't go to a single class, and I passed all of my courses in first year, but it was grade based, like 100% percentage based. I got probably 55 to 60 on every course. Didn't go to a single lecture. The day before the final exam, like the night before, I will peel off the plastic cover of the textbook and just cram it through and say, how much do I need to study? Which parts do I need to study? How do I get to 55 to 60%? And that path obviously didn't work out for me. I competed intensely, made it to the internationals, but realized, that wasn't a future. I actually need to study and get a job and figure out life.
That's crazy. Well, kudos to you for finishing that and going back. We can relate at some point. We meet up in San Francisco. I had a very similar experience where I was like, well, I don't have to go, and I'm seeming to get like 75s and everything. That's all right. You're in a much tougher program, though. That's a crazy program. All right. So for people that don't know, what is Porter?
Porter helps companies easily manage bookkeeping and taxes. It is the source of truth for companies' financial data. It integrates with modern tech stacks like Brex, Ramp, Mercury, Gusto, Rippling, and it replaces your need to use QuickBooks and hire a bookkeeper to manage QuickBooks.
I'm thinking of people that need this right now, but first of all, I get what motivated you to build that type of platform? Because that's not the easiest thing to build.
For sure. This is related to the pain that I felt for the last couple of years running finance at many startups. I would say every single month, I kept getting these error-prone financials on the second or even third week of every month. But despite the fact that I was paying a lot of money to the best bookkeepers using the best tools, and I'm just saying this can't be the way. And then I realized I had the best in class process. Everyone was asking me, how did you get to this spot? And I looked at the problem across various stages, various industries and verticals, and I realized it really is started in the early days where a startup founder doesn't know any better and they get pressured into a sales-based approach where bookkeepers set them up on QuickBooks.
It's funny you say that because I've had that experience with startups, and you got to keep track of it. And we've seen other stuff there, there's services out there, but they all kind of have the same thing, right? Like they're always pushing a QuickBooks online, which is, it's okay, but it doesn't do everything. There's
Yeah,
lots of problems, right? And it's as good as the user.
exactly. And don't get me wrong, QuickBooks is pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's part of Intuit's portfolio, but their core users are small businesses. These companies don't care about their numbers as much. They're cash flow positive. They have 50 transactions a month, and it's fine to do things manually. But startups are really different. You need to scale. You need to really build a solid foundation of your financial data. You have the best tech stack out there. You're not using
Right.
QuickBooks to run payroll. You're not using QuickBooks to invoice customers. So it's built for the wrong person.
That makes a lot of sense now that you say it that way. So that's why when you were saying before, the ideal customer is someone that's kind of like seed stage or Series A. Is that kind of what you're targeting?
Exactly. So a company usually needs help with bookkeeping, taxes, and investor reporting when they just raise a seed round. They need to do bookkeeping to file taxes. They need to do bookkeeping to update investors on where their financials are. Then, as they scale, they hire more people. They need bookkeeping to understand how much they're spending, why is it going up, what's driving that. And then further on, it gets into budgeting, procurement, closing your books every single month, sharing that with the auditors, etc.
Very interesting. That totally makes sense now that you're saying it. Um, Now you got into Y Combinator. First of all, what was your pitch? What was that like?
It was very quick, very efficient. I think the pitch is 10 minutes. Like Y Combinator is one of the most founder-friendly approaches. I think I probably spend 7 minutes just talking about my idea, answering questions about the market, the users, everything. And I think the partners really understood what I was doing. They moved on and they basically said, well, I need to see that you can build software. I need to see a product. So come back with it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And then did you recruit like a CTO, or you have a background in that? Did you build it yourself?
I have a CS background from Waterloo, but I haven't coded for like 5+ years.
Yep.
I didn't think it was fast enough if I were to learn coding and build it.
Yep.
I looked for a technical co-founder and I probably spoke with at least 100 people.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I drove to places, I flew to places, and I actually landed on a co-founder that he was in Kentucky at the time to do rock climbing with his wife. He's SF based.
Okay.
And we chatted for like twice, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm here right now. Happy to like think about next steps." I said, "Well, can I drive and just stay with you and work with you for a week?" And we worked together for a week, and then, we basically said, "Well, I think things are working. Let's proceed."
That's
And
amazing.
we
Wow.
got into Y Combinator. However, things have changed since. Throughout
Okay.
the middle of the batch, I think we realized we want different things, and we actually separated.
Oh, okay. And that's not uncommon after the accelerator. I've noticed a few people have had that happen. So I don't think you're the
Yeah,
only one that's in that. I think after working with someone for 90 days, you kind of understand some different trajectory. And that's good that you at least had the courage to make that change. So
for sure. And I think a lot of people stress the importance of a co-founder for the wrong reasons. And then people don't really hold their bar that high based on what the importance they stress, and there's just not a lot of support for solo founders out there as well. We're
it's tough.
sucked.
It's tough.
Yeah,
um, well, I want to be conscious of your time. All right. So you've gone through all these amazing experiences. If you could offer other founders only one piece of advice, what would that be?
just do it.
Just do it. I like
Yeah.
that. That's pretty
I'd
good.
say most other founders, on average, over tilt on thought versus action. And if you're aware of that, stop thinking. You know, a lot of people overthink. In fact, there are so many people sort of in the same space as I'm in. They know a lot more than I do, and they see all the things that can go wrong. Therefore, they're not going to start anything.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, and I think that's great advice. We evangelize something similar, which is like rapidly prototype, go talk to real customers, business plans are junk, stop thinking and start doing. So that makes total sense to us.
Yeah, totally. And I say
I
also
see
like
it all the
a
time.
lot of advice out there from like YC and everything. Those advice are helpful because everyone's like, yeah, it's counterintuitive, it's common sense. I agree. But until you run into it, you feel a little bit of the pain, you won't understand exactly what it means. So you got to run right into the spike and understand what it means.
Hey, well, that's good advice there too. What is the role of partnerships and or community been in your success so far?
So much. I think it feels like everyone just is cheering me on for some reason. People that I just randomly met. I'll give you some examples, but like getting into YC, I actually reached out to maybe 20 people that are YC founders before I even applied.
Oh,
I
wow.
just said, hey, I'm validating this idea. I'm thinking about applying to YC. After I got in, I said, hey, can you help me do a mock? People just helped me a lot. And people still help me today. Other founders where I say, hey, I'm a fellow founder, I'm validating this problem. Can I talk to you? They became customers. And then they started referring other people as customers to me. It really feels like going to war with a bunch of people who, are not the smartest, are not like the most experienced, but they're all at the same level as you. Because really, at the end of the day, no one really knows what they're doing unless they've done it. But everyone's got each other's back and everyone's really helpful.
I love it. And that's why this is called Form Your Own Pack. So that is a wonderful story of success based upon partnership and your experience in YC. All right. I want to thank you for spending so much time with me. I know we kind of gave a little shout out to you guys in our prior article, but this will be exciting to include an interview with you. I want to wrap with one final thing. First of all, how do people get in touch with you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Andy Wang Porter, or you can go to my website, porter.software.
And we will include links to that in the show notes. The final thing is when we have interesting people on the podcast, we would like you to nominate another interesting person who is either a founder or investor in a scalable startup. We do talk to a lot of YCombinator and Techstars, Hustle Fund type founders. Who would you, Andy, like to nominate as a future guest?
I would nominate Charlie Fang, who is building Agora in the Web3 space.
Oh, okay. Charlie, right? And the last name is Fang.
Yeah, Feng.
Fang, got it. Oh, Charlie, you've been nominated as a future guest. We will accept that. We'll look forward to that introduction. Andy, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to following the rest of your journey.
Thank you as well, Michael.